Hi everybody, it's Marley here from Shoes.co, and today I'm here with Nick for Stronghold Crusader 2. Shit, the name, yeah, that's fine. So tell us a little bit about the game then.
So it's basically a medieval RTS title, but it's kind of mixing the city builder and RTS genres into one. So you've got to manage your castle, you've got to build up your economy, produce weapons, produce armor, make sure your peasants are all happy. And you do this by giving them food and beer in massive quantities. But then also you've got to attack your enemies. You've got to build siege equipment to take down their walls and eventually kill their lord, and that's kind of how you win the match.
So if you were to go to your enemy's area, take all their food and beer, and the peasants would just revolt against them.
He's good. He's going to be a very good player.
It's just like...
Yeah, you can basically do that. You can... the farmlands are all built on oases because it's in the middle of the desert. It's in the Crusades in the Middle East. You can't just build a farmland in the middle of like sand because you can't farm sand. So your sort of economy stuff is often outside your castle. So one tactic you can do is run in with loads of torch-wielding slaves or oil pot throwers and basically set fire to all their farms, and fire spreads between buildings and you can just completely ruin their economy. And that's like another way. You can just go straight into them and knock down their walls, but
you can sort of charge them down, like just as you can assault them with your army, or you can sort of like be more tactical, take out their resources.
Sneaky, and yeah, they suddenly realise that all their farms are on fire and you're laughing basically, which is it's great fun. It's good to have that kind of options about what you want to do, and instead of it just being here's the castle.
I mean, like, to keep it diverse, you've got to have like loads of different ways to be able to like each fight. You've got to be fending off different things, going against different things. Like people build armies towards something like that's the complexities of the game. That's like how it works. But it looks really good so far. So when's your expected release date?
So we're shooting for late summer at the moment, but because we're self-publishing the title, we can kind of decide when we want to release it, which is amazing. But we used to work with publishers. We're good friends with loads of publishers, but we just kind of felt like for the last 2 games we released, we want to make them our way. We want to release them when we want to release them, and obviously with the publisher, you understand that they've got their own pressures on themselves. They need to release games at certain times of year to hit certain targets. But just for us, it means that we can just concentrate on the development of the game, work to our own speed. And to be honest, no game has ever shipped on time. I don't care what people tell you, no game has ever shipped on time. Whether you know about it or not, a game has been delayed at some point. So yeah, we're shooting for the late summer release date, but it's basically ready when it's ready, and it'll be polished and bug-free and fun when it comes to release.
So no early access releases or anything, or are there betas like available now?
I mean, Steam were talking to us about early access last year, but it hasn't been really part of a plan for us from the start, and it's a shame really, because Crusader is the kind of game that's quite compartmentalized, so you could release maybe the multiplayer on early access and then add the story campaign and add the skirmish mode and stuff like that. And so if we'd planned it out from the start, it would have been really interesting, but it just feels like for us, for this particular game, we want to release it and we need to release it as a point where it's completely bug-free. We don't want anyone's first impression of the game to be, oh look, there's a bug, oh there's a crash, that kind of thing. We want it to just be 1.0, polished, bug-free, and
I mean, that was a nick I had recently with a lot of stuff within the industry. Like, I like early access as a system, but then obviously the games come out on it. I'll play it early, come back to it and be like, I've already beat that game, and I didn't finish it at the time when it was fun and like all the features.
Like people, you only get one first impression of a game, which is kind of like. It's kind of the same situation where if a game comes out, even if it's not early access, even if it's just a 1.0 Gold Master traditional release, and the developer says, oh yeah, we're going to fix it post-release.
Battlefield 4.
Exactly, but people's first impression is always the one that just sticks in their mind, and you've got to understand that, because people, there's so many games coming out during the year, and they only have time really to play it at release, so you really only get one shot in terms of the general impression of your game. That is starting to change now. Developers are starting to build communities, with their players, direct relationships, and say to you, oh look, we've got this update this month, and people sort of constantly check the website for new updates, and Steam Early Access kind of fosters that a little bit, in the sense that people are expecting updates to the games, and the mentality is changing a little bit, but we're still in this kind of mindset of, and you can understand why, this is my impression of the game, and then some people say, oh yeah, but they fixed that later on. You're like, yeah, but I don't have time to play that. I only got one impression. So for this particular game, we're just going to go sort of beta. But that'll be, we're not going for early access, just because this game needs to be polished and released.
I mean, I totally agree with that, because like the only games I think early access works for are really sort of titles where you build a community. Like Nuclear Throne is an example I've used as one that I quite like, because I play the game, and every time I go in like every now a couple of weeks, and it gets a little bit better. There's a little bit more for me to play, and it's a game that slowly builds quite well, and it's got a community around it. And other games, like big multiplayer games, also because you can always add new features, like free-to-play stuff. It works really well. But for like fully fledged games like this, if you release the game not finished, I'd probably play it. Oh, that's great. I'd end up making a video, and then I'd never go back. And people are like, oh, you should go back. It'd be like, oh, I don't have time. This is coming out. This is coming out. You don't. Once you've played a game, that's kind of it. And that's it's because there's so many games coming out now. Like, it used to be so much slower.
Like you're saying, in an ideal world, the relationship you have with Nuclear Throne and the understanding you have with that game and the developers and the appreciation you have for their time and the work they're doing would apply to all games. But because we're sort of in a transition period now between the old sort of way of how games are made and how they're put out and how they're updated, which used to be like you put a disc on a shelf and then you just leave it, like you just don't touch it again. We're starting to move away from that. In an ideal world, your relationship with Nuclear Throne would be everyone's relationship with every game. But like you're saying, people don't have the time for that, and we're still in a sort of transitionary period. So it's great that a few of those examples exist. But yeah, it's got its sort of teething problems. But I think, I think we can agree that an ideal world would be one where everything is early access, and the people that want to wait for the version 1.0 release can wait for it, and the people that really, the super fans that really want to get involved and really care about specific games, they can sort of get in there.
I mean, your diehard fans can build the game with you, and then your game will, in essence, become almost a better. Sometimes they're wrong, but like, it can build to be something better as you work with the people who want to play it to make it better, and that's obviously it. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, everybody. Would you like any closing words?
I've been doing this all day. Buy Crusader 2. Buy Crusader 2. Buy Crusader 2. No, I'm joking. Follow us on Twitter. We've got a great YouTube channel, great Facebook. Twitter is @SHCrusader2. Facebook is Strong Crusader 2. YouTube is Firefly Worlds. But we'll release loads of videos. The game's going to come out late summer, hopefully. And it'll be the best 3D Stronghold yet.
Well, thanks for watching, everybody. I've been Marley from Shoost.co. You can check out loads of other content from Rezzed over at Shoost, and also at my YouTube channel /Marley. Bye.